this could be a pretty big deal. Let me give you a bit of a background. Now, 5 years ago, we saw the creation of the interoperable UPI platform. And this enabled basically what we've seen over the last many years as a digital payments revolution in the country. The UPI has been essentially the rails on which multi-billion-dollar fintech companies have been built. Companies like Paytm, companies like PhonePe. And they've acknowledged it openly that UPI have been the rails. Are we now on the cusp of another such momentous event? That is essentially what we are getting to here. Now, the new platform in question is the Account Aggregator, or AA, for simplicity. Simply put, an account aggregator is an entity that facilitates the transfer of financial information between different entities. It could be different banks, it could be different financial institutions. This happens with the express consent of the customer, the user, that is you. A little bit about this new entity called the Account Aggregator. Well, as I explained earlier, but to put it even more simply, they are nothing but, in a way, a data bridge between various financial actors within the financial ecosystem. The system was launched yesterday with 8 banks on board. Banks can now share data of individual customers with each other on the platform. The content of the customer, the consent of the customer is a must for each time data is shared for a particular purpose. And the account aggregator does not see the data. The account aggregator in that sense is data blind. He or she is the intermediary between financial services firms, ferrying data back and forth. So, which are the banks which are on board right now? The list will come up on your screen, and there are more who are expected to come on board. This includes the largest bank in the country. This includes the largest private sector bank, ICICI, Axis. And as I said, there will be more firms which will come on board. Just a word on these go-between entities as well, the account aggregators themselves, right? These are RBI license holders. So they are regulated by the banking regulator. And there are just under 10 licenses which have been given out for these account aggregators. I've just listed a few, but as I said, there are just under 10, so there are more names here. So how will the system work in practice? In a very, very simple way, this is a broad overview of how it will work. In between is the account aggregator. On the other side is essentially the user's data as requested by the business. And this is essentially banks, insurance providers, and mutual funds who have the data, who you deal with. These entities could be on the other side as well. So I'll explain it in a very, very simple way. Suppose you have a long-standing account with State Bank of India and you are seeking a home loan from HDFC Bank. You can authorize or give consent to HDFC Bank to access your data from SBI for this purpose. Now, the account aggregator, this guy in between here, will run to SBI, collect the data. Remember, the account aggregator will not see the data, and then after collecting it, will give it to HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank can then look at your record and decide whether to give you the loan, the home loan, and decide the terms, etc., in terms of your credit worthiness. So this is, in very simple words, how this is essentially going to work. So what kind of data are we basically talking about? It includes basic information, personal details, etc., a summary brief about the kind of data itself which is being sought, and of course, detailed report containing the list of records for that particular type of financial data. The one example I used was for the purpose of home loans, right? I began by saying that it could be the next UPI moment. Well, the success will depend on how many more banks are willing to come on board these platforms, right? I spoke with a top bank CEO earlier, and he told me that, why should they share data with someone who's not on the platform? So if there is a bank which is outside of the platform but just wants data, will that work? Most likely, no. This will work only if the seeking bank is also willing to share the data as well. So the success depends on how many more financial institutions. There are 8 right now, but the success will depend on how many more come on board for this. So can this be a UPI moment, the next UPI moment? The initiative, of course, is very much in its infancy. Right now, there are 8 banks on board, 4 have operationalized this platform, 4 will do so very soon, but many, many more need to join for this to become really meaningful in terms of driving further financial inclusion and driving ease of banking for you, the customer.